Hello, so today I will show you how to build this app using Glide, a no-code tool. So if you've never used Glide before, this will be a great introduction to see how it works and what you can do with it. So we have a lot of work. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is copy a template because for this app, no need to, reinvent the wheel because there's a very good app, the personal budget template that Glide has made, and it can be a very, it's going to be a foundation for this app. So let's go ahead and copy this template, and that's what we are going to use. Okay. So first, right away, I'm going to change the name. So let's just call it freelancers client tracker. We can find another name afterwards, and then just click on edit the sheet. So because Glide and Google Sheets are connected, it will copy the sheet. So again, let's modify the name so that I can know exactly what is the sheet for. So let's call it freelancer client tracker again. Okay, so let's dive into this template a little bit. So as you can see, this is mostly a template made to track your expenses. So we will need to tweak it in order to fit well our needs as freelancers because, for example, instead of items, we're going to work with clients, and we're going to have to add little tabs, some tabs such as the taxes and other items. But the reason why I wanted to start with this template is that, for example, you can see here there's a lot of very interesting formulas such as this one, calculating month, include in current month. So it's going to make starting the app way easier. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete most of the entries. I'm just going to keep the first one so that it's not empty. So let's go ahead and delete all of this. Okay, great. So as you can see, this row is grayed out just to indicate that is where the formulas are. So now what we need, the goal is to have this is going to be clients. So instead of an expense here, what we will need is, let's call it invoices. This is going to be not cost, but price. Yeah, English is not my first language, so I'm not really sure how to call this, but it's a category. So here we're going to client. We don't really need an icon. So let me delete this column. We don't really need a photo, so let me delete this column also. And yeah, we don't really need recurring either, because by definition, you invoice only once, so we won't need the recurring column either. Okay, I'm just going to keep it right now because this formula is dependent and we're going to use this formula. So what we have right now is the invoice name. Here we have the price. I think maybe we should call it not price, but income. Wait, let me check how this is called in English. Well, after searching, it appears that price is okay. The reason why I even bother is that I want to use this app as a template and then put it on the Glide template marketplace. So the goal is for everyone that speaks English to understand what it does, and because I want people to be able to reuse the app for themselves. That's why I'm bothering about this. But okay. So now, what else do we need? What I need to have the date sent. So how it works is that when I send an invoice, I will log into the app. So this would be date sent, and then I need to have a due date for the invoice. I need to be able to see if the invoice has been paid or no, and I need to be able to see if the invoice is late. if yes, if it's late, by how many days. And finally, I need to have my tax information. I need to know how much I need to set aside for taxes, and how much I'm going to get in my bank account after taxes are taken out. So I don't know how it works in your country, but I live in France, and I need to pay taxes. It's not taken out automatically, so that's why this information is very important to me, because I need to remember all the time that when I receive an invoice, I have to make sure to set aside money for taxes. So now let's work on the app. So here we have the date. Let's look at the data to see how it works. So, oops, oh yeah. So let's see the date, edit, date time. First of all, let's change this because we don't really need the time. We are going to make this only the date only. Okay, and we're going to make this column, oh well, date time, okay. So this is the first thing we can do. Second of all, we need to check over there how it works. Okay, this can be edited. Here the name, the cost. I will need to change it later. You have the name, recurring. Okay. I just need, what I wanted to see is the layout, because I want to make sure that we're only getting a date. Okay, that's what I want to see. Okay, so now we've removed the time, and now we only have the date. Perfect. So so this is going to be date sent. So now here you can see that this is a formula. The formula is today, and this shouldn't be a formula. This should be the date, well, when we log in the invoice. So to do this, we're going to go ahead, and yes, we're going to make sure that this is a special value, and then that the current date time is okay. Okay, so this is date sent. So let's add the information we need. What we need is we need a due date. Let's put it here. Now let's go back over there, because first of all, let's delete the picture because we don't need it. Oops, let's also delete this. You won't need it either. Okay, and now we are going to add another Boolean column like this. Yes, correct. Yep. And this is going to be, let's call it paid, because this is where we're going to check if the invoice has been paid or no. So let's go ahead and enter Boolean paid. Okay, perfect. So what do we need more? We also need to check if it's late. So let's also add a late column, and then we also need days late. Okay, so we have all of this. Now we can go ahead and start working on the app. So the first thing we're going to do is to make sure that the user can enter the due date. So let's go back to the app. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to expenses. And we are going to add the due date component. So, oops. Okay, so let's add a date picker. And this is going to be the invoice due date, and this is going to write to the due date column. Okay, so let's say that this invoice was due on the 1st of February. Okay, so now if we go back to Google Sheets, the date should appear anytime soon. Let's refresh. Yeah, I mean, let's first of all Okay, now we have due date. Now let's see if we have it in the Google Sheet. So yeah, so as we can see, now we have the due date. So now let's go back. What we also need to know is if the invoice has been paid or no, because since we are going to log in the invoice as soon as we send it, there's a high probability that the invoice won't be paid yet, because that's how it works. Usually clients take a long time to pay invoices. So we're going to add a switch, just like the recurring one. This is going to be, well, paid. And we are going to write to the column paid. So perfect. So let's go ahead. And so let's say that this invoice has been paid. If it has been paid, then it's going to appear as paid in the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and try. And we're also going to add a component here, just to be able to see if the invoice has been paid or no. So let's go ahead and call this paid. Okay. Wait. Okay. So as you can see, now we have this. If we go back to the Google Sheets, now it's paid. And let's try to do something. Let's try to untick the switch. Okay, perfect. So now what we need to do is to check if the invoice is late. So let me uncheck this box. So here we have a due date of, so it was due on the 1st of February. So technically what I want to see here is that since it hasn't been paid, that it's late and it's 9 days late. So to do this, we are going to just copy this model, this formula. So one thing you have to know if you want to create an app with Glide, having a good knowledge of Google Sheets is very useful because there's a lot of new formulas you're going to be able to use. So we are going to copy this model. So this is called an array formula, and the reason why it's very useful in Google Sheets is that it's going to allow you to set a formula once, and then you can it will copy to all the cells automatically. So let's go ahead and copy this. So let's just dive in what it means. So this means, so this is an array formula, so it will copy to all the cells. Then we have an if statement. So what it says is that if this column, so this column here, the G column is empty, then don't write anything. This is supposed to be empty. But if it isn't empty, you have to evaluate the statement. So the if statement means if recurring is true, then it's equal to 1. If recurring is not true, false, then it's 0. Then if this column, so the calculated month column, is equal to overview. So overview is what overview is. So overview is we have the current month. So as you can see, the current month is the same as the calculated month value. So if it's equal to the current month, so February, if it's true, okay, so evaluate it to 1. If it's not true, evaluate it to 0. Then we have, so if this whole statement evaluates to more than 0, so either if the current month is February, or if this recurring box is ticked, then set it to true. So now how can we use this formula to create our own formula? So let's go ahead and do it. So my thing is if the invoice if the due date of the invoice is superior to the date of today, and if the invoice hasn't been paid, so it should be late, and if that's not the case, it shouldn't be late. So that's what I'm going to write. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so we're going to keep this first part. Instead, what we're just going to change the column name. So it's not going to be the column G, but it's going to be the column I. So let's go I with the due date. Okay. So we're going to hit this. So if this is empty, the value should be empty. But if it's not empty, as it in our case, we are going to see if the due date is if the date of today is superior to the due date. So we're going to do this using a formula called today, which just evaluates the today's date. So if this means so if the date in column I is inferior to today, then if it's true, this whole statement should equal to 1, and if it's not true, this whole statement should equal to 0. Then we have another condition, which is that also if the column J, so if the invoice has been paid, so J to J, so this column, so if this is equal to false, false means that it hasn't been paid, then this should equal to 1, and if this is not true, it should equal to 0. So let's see what we have currently. So currently we have that this is late, and this is correct because, well, as you can see, it hasn't been paid and the due date was on the 1st of February. Now what I want to see is what happens if we take this. As you can see, there's a problem because if we take this, technically, I mean, the invoice shouldn't be late because it has been paid. So let's see what went wrong. So what went wrong is that I forgot to change this, the 0 formula, because actually what we need to put is 1. So let's go ahead. Okay, now let's, perfect. So now what it means is that if the invoice due date is superior to the date of today, or if the invoice hasn't been paid, it's going to be marked as late. Okay, great. Now what I need to know if the invoice is late, by how many days. So here's the formula that will help us do this. So here we go again. We're also going to use an array formula, but what we need to know is, so if this column is equal to true, so if the invoice is late, then you have to calculate the number of days between today's date and the due date. And what is interesting about this is that because since today is a formula that evaluates today's current date, it will always be updated. So let's go ahead and write. So if k2, oops, I forgot the if statement. Again, we're using an array formula because we are doing this so that the formula will autofill if the conditions are true. So let's go ahead. So if k2k equals to true, then I want you to calculate the difference between today's date and the due date. So there is a formula in Google Sheets that allows this. It's called days. So let's go ahead. So let's now write today's date, and oops, what we need to write is H2H. So what we need to write is I2, sorry, because the due date is in column I. So I2, I, oops, and I, what did I do? Let's go back to the formula. Yeah, I forgot to add the like if not true, because as you can see we have the value if true, so we have the value if true, but I forgot to enter the value if false. So what I need to do is add a comma. Perfect. So now we can see that this invoice is 9 days late. Let's go ahead and tick the paid. As you can see, if the invoice has been paid, then this is irrelevant and we don't have the date. And if it, then you have the line. Okay, so this is great. What I'm going to have to change though is that here the condition to include in current month is if this calculated month is equal to, well, to the current months. But I need to change this because for me what I need is not really the date sent. What I need is the date paid. But as you can see over there, we have no column for the date paid. So what we need to do is go ahead and add a column that specifies date paid, so that when the invoice is paid, I can go ahead and I can modify the invoice with the date paid. So let's just add a column over there, and we are going to go, oops, just don't want to, just going to add it here because we don't want a boolean. So let's go ahead and we're going to call it date paid. Okay, so this is date paid. Now we have to go ahead, we have to go back to Glide, and we have to change this. And we're going to add another component. This is going to be, again, a date picker, but it's going to write to the column date paid. Wait, I have to reload the sheet to see the column. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so yeah, we have to change this. We're going to put date paid. So let's say that our invoice has been paid on the, let's say, just for the sake of the example, that the invoice has been paid on the 31st of December 2020. Of course, this makes no sense regarding the dates, but it's just that I just want to show you how it works. Okay. Now we're also going to add a date paid component. So let's go ahead and add another action date, and this is going to be date paid. Wait, date paid. Yes, it's okay. So this is date paid. Okay, so now that we have this, we're going to go back to our sheet. As you can see, okay, date paid is the 1st of December. So what we need to do is to make sure that because the date paid is in December, even if it has been paid, it should not be included in the current month. So what we need to do is go ahead. What we're just going to do is we're going to modify this column, and we are going to use this one instead of this column. So let's just put K2 instead. K2K. And then we're going to so now, as you can see, now include in current month is false. Now what we need to do next, that so even if the due date is on the 1st of February, which makes no sense, but what I need to make sure is that even if the due date or the date paid is not in this current, even if the due date is not in this current month, if it's paid, it needs to be included in this current month. Wait. Okay, so now that we have this, what we need to do is just to change the name of this column, just to avoid confusion. So we're just going to call this column month paid, and I'm going to just put it here in front of date paid. And I don't know if you noticed, but just if you switch the order of the column, it doesn't matter. Google Sheets will automatically change the column to its new letter to conform to the order, so it's okay. So what we have now is, well, we still need to add different clients. We have the invoice name, the price. One crucial information that we don't have right now is the taxes. So we are going to go ahead and add the taxes tab. So to begin with, we need two tabs. We need taxes. So let's just call it taxes overview, and then we need taxes details. So the reason why we need several tabs is because, for example, if I take my case as a freelancer in France, I have several taxes I need to pay. and I assume that it's the case for many other freelancers. So in this tab, I'm going to let people be able to choose several names, several taxes, and then enter the tax rate. So let's go ahead and reload the sheet to see if it's okay. Okay, so let's go back. So in this style, in the taxes, we're going to use the taxes detail. How did I call it? Yeah, I should maybe add the taxes. Okay, so now let's go back to this. Okay, so now we're going to make this allow user to edit, and we're going to add a button. This is going to be a phone button. It's going to be add your tax. So, and when this button is clicked, you're going to be able to add your tax. So this is going to write to the detail tax. So you're going to be able to put a name. So let's just tax name and a tax rate. So since it's going to be a rate, a percentage, it's going to be the minimum length will be 0, and then the maximum length will be 100. And here you're going to, when you have it, enter your tax rate. This is required because without it we cannot calculate the tax. And then also tax name also required. Enter the name of the tax. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it, and we're just going to change. Maybe let's change the name of this form. Wait, I forgot where you can do this. Oh wait, you can do this here. So button add a tax, and then the form is tax information. Perfect. So let's do it. So let's add the first tax. So I'm going to add mine. It's in French, but it's okay. And it's going to be 11. So now I'm going to okay. So now we have the first tax. Let's see if we have it here. Okay, we have a first tax. Let's add a new one. Let's add a new one. Let's add a new tax. So I'm filming and at the same time I'm doing something I need to do. So perfect. So it's 1%. Okay. Now, what we also need to do is to remove this title, and we're going to add an inline list so that the person can see all the taxes that you need to pay. So let's just go ahead and click on detailed taxes, and maybe you can make it you can make it a card, and we're just going to add the detailed tax rate. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the data tab because I just want to add a percentage. So let's just add perfect. So now we can see and we don't need, maybe we need to have numbers after the column. So okay, so I'm not going to touch this. Okay. Now we just go back to layout. So now I can see the overview of the taxes I'm paying. Let me just go ahead and do this. Perfect. Now what we need to do, we're going to go here, and so this, we're going to make sure that this is the number. Okay. Now we have to use a math column because since it's going to be used in calculations, I need to divide this percentage by 100. So let's just add our math column. And this is very interesting. The thing that's very interesting about Glide is that you can make formulas. So for example, here I'm going just to put tax rate divided by 100. And as you can see, it's going to replace the name tax rate by the column tax rate, and you don't even need to write the whole name of the column. Even if I just do if I do something like T divided by 100, it still works. So now we have a tax rate, and we have all the taxes we need to pay. now we need to go back to the items. So that should be called invoices. Let me just change it. Invoices. And we are going to add something to be able to calculate the tax. So here you can see that we are paying several taxes. So what we can do here is that we're just going to add the sum of this column, and what it's going to do is that even if, for example, let's say I need to pay need to pay a new tax, I'm going to be able to add the new tax, and then it will be computed automatically as the total tax rate I'm going to pay. So let's do this. Let's go to the items category. To do this, we're going to use rollup column, and so we need to go to tax rate calculated, and we are going to have the sum. So as you can see, the sum is 0.12 because, well, the first tax I need to pay is 11%, the second tax is 1%, so perfect. So I have my total tax up there, total tax rate, okay. And then what I'm going to need is to add another column. It's going to be a math column again. What I want to see is total tax amount, so how much I need to pay in taxes. So this is going to be, I call it price, okay. It's going to be price times total tax rate, okay. Let's add a dollar sign to this. So this is the number of tax I need to pay on this invoice of $36. And then I need to know what's my net income from this invoice. And the net income is simply, again, a math column, and the net income is going to be the income, the price. The price minus the tax I need to pay, tax amount. And this is also going to be, let's add a little sign. So what this means is that on this invoice of $36, I am going to have to pay $4.32 of taxes, and I'm going to take home 31 and 68 cents. So this is great. So what I need to do next is to change this tab. So let's go back to the sheet. So this tab is called in categories. What I need is to have the clients. So I'm just going to change. So we're going to remove this because there's no need to have a monthly limit for clients. So let's just delete this column. We're also going to delete the photo because, well, this is just useless for us. Let me check that there's no formulas here. Perfect. And you know what? I'm also going to delete well, maybe I can delete the icon if some people want to have icons. So I'm going to remove this. I'm just going to, let's say, I'm going to have Acme Corporation. And we're going to have, let's say, Tesla. And just for the logs, let's add another client. We're going to call it GameStop. I'm recording this video on the February 2021, so I'm sure that everyone has heard of the GameStop story. So okay, so I have the three clients. We have Acme, Tesla, and GameStop. Okay, so maybe what I can also add is maybe information about the client. To see. And so that's it. So maybe I can have the name of the client, an icon, and then some information. For example, here I'm going to say I'm working with the client through Upwork. Here what I can say is I'm working with this client through, I don't know, TopTalk. And here I can say client that pays 60 days after the invoice is sent. So okay, so this is maybe, let's see, it's going to be looked. So okay, so that's all we need for now. Let's go back to well, let's just change it to see. Okay, so this is perfect. Now we have the items total. So what we need to do is to go back to our tab, Go back to expenses. That should be called invoices. Let me just change it real quick. Invoices. And we're just going to add a client. So let's go back to the layout. Well, the recurring switch, we can delete it because we don't need it now. The nodes, date sent, we don't need it either. Now the category relations, we don't need comments either. This we need. I just add, yes, perfect, we need this. And now we need to add a picker, a choice picker. And this is going to evaluate to the client sheet. And the value is going to be client, and I can choose how to display it. Display as client. Okay. Yeah. So no, I'm just going to change. This is better. So let's say that here the client is going to be GameStop, and I'm going to. Oops, the data is going to be in the column. No, so client. So I have to go back and choose the client. Okay. So this is my first invoice with them. Let's add another invoice with the same client just to show how it works. So this is going to be invoice name. We also need to change this. Invoice name. This is going to be invoice price. Oops, so invoice name. Let's call it same stop. Let's go Acme February. Now let's go ahead and change the cost. We're going to call this a price. This is required. We need this. We also need the invoice name. Now what we're also going to need is the client. We need to call it default title client, and it's of course required. Let's call this okay. Now the recurring switch, we can remove it. The image picker, you can also remove it. Text entry notes. I just add a placeholder. Additional notes about the client. This is not going to be required. And what else do we need? We need to know the date, the due date. So let's just add the picker here, and we're going to call it invoice due date. Invoice due date. And I mean, so this is the information we are going to put when we work on the when we log in. So this is enough for now. So let's call it again. February. The price. Now let me change this to 26. Okay. The price. Let's say we have 200. The client is going to be Acme. And then we can add this invoice. So let's go ahead and add the invoice. And here we can go ahead and we can go back and maybe see if it has been paid. Okay, and maybe we can also add the days late. Days late. So we have the action date. Okay. So why did I call it GameStop? Oh yes, sorry. Okay, so I got confused. Let's just call it Acme January. Okay, so the reason I did this is that I just wanted to show you this. So which is going to be very interesting is that you're going to be able to see by client all the invoices you have received from the client. So we're also going to need to remove the picture, but I'm going to do it later. So here Acme Corporation, and I'm going to maybe change the name. It's not going to be spent. It's going to be amount invoiced. Maybe it's amount paid. I mean, I don't know how to call this, whatever. And we don't need the budget because And we don't need the image either. Okay, so now that there's no image, it looks quite weird, so maybe we can move on to, let's see, what is this new thing? Swipe? No. So now we're cool, we have our invoices. Let's go back to it. And now what we can add next is a series of information. So what I want to see is either if the invoice has been paid or when. If the invoice hasn't been paid, I want to see if it's late. If it's late, I want to see by how many days. And if it's not late, I want to see the due date. So far we have this. This is a little bare. So let's go ahead and change this. The model for this for those little updates, those little sequences, is this model. As you can see here, you have information. For example, you have your monthly budget is blah blah blah, and you spent 0. So this is what we're going to try and do. So let's see how they did this. So let's go to overview. So this is done using a column template. So let's see. So as you can see, all you have to do is to enter your sentences and then replace a key by the amount of the column, and this is useful because then this will be updated as for example here we have the safe burn. So let's say that of safe burn is I don't know, $50, then the sentences is going to change too. So this is what we are going to do for our for the information we need. So let's go ahead and do this. First we are going to create is going to be if the invoice is late. So let me create the template. So we're going to the template column. This is going to be late invoice, and I'm going to say I will not. So this invoice has been sent on the so the date is date sent. So I'm going to create I'm going to create a date key. So all we have to do is put a $sign, just like this. Let's say sent. So this $sign is going to equal to date sent. So we're going to say this invoice has been sent on the $sign sent and is so now we have to add a $sign late, and so days late and is so x days late. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Let's go back to the layout. Let's go back to the invoices, and we are going to add this as an action text. So it's going to be late invoice. Okay, so as you can see right now, we have the date of the invoice and we have no days because this invoice is not late. But if I go back to the previous invoice, which was late, you can see this invoice has been sent on the February 10th, 2021, and it's 9 days late. Okay, so let's do the same. This time I need to know if the invoice has been paid. I want to know when, so let me just change this because it bothers me when the date is as the time. So let me just fill the time over there. Time only. Okay. So as you can see, the date is in French because my computer is in French. But if you speak English or Spanish or whatever, yours will be in the language you use in your browser. So let's add this template. This is going to be if the invoice has been paid. So invoice paid, and we're going to say this invoice has been paid on the, and so we need the date paid. So let's just add $ paid. Date paid. And we're good. Now the last case we need is that is the invoice sent but not late. So late. So in this case, we're also going to have a template, but what I want to know is that the invoice, so this invoice has been sent on the, again, let's take the key, sent, and this is going to be date sent. So this invoice has been sent on the date it has been sent, okay, and it is due on the. So this is just for me to know that the invoice is not late, but it's due on a specific date. So let's just add. We're going to do date, and we're just going to go ahead and okay. So now we have our three like summaries. The only thing is, let's go back to the layout. You probably noticed that, for example, if we go to this one, here the invoice is not late, but we still see it. So what we have to do is to create some conditions so that the correct message appears depending on the status of the invoice. So for this invoice, what I should see is the sent but not late. So let's add it. Let me try the int. I've never tried the int component, so I just want to see what it looks like. Let's see. So let's choose invoice has been sent not late. Okay, yeah, I think it looks nice. So here we have this invoice has been sent on the 10th, on the February 10th, and it's due on February 26th. So this is the message we should see. So what we're going to do is that we are going to have all those, we're going to have 3 hints. And I'm just going to, so this we're going to have the 8 invoice 1. We're going to have the three different states. Let's go ahead and do this. So it's going to be invoice paid. And now what we need to do is to add conditions so that we only see the correct one depending on the invoice. So let's go ahead, let's go back to the int, and we're going to go to features and add visibility conditions. Okay, got it. So here, what I want to know is if the invoice is late. So the easiest way to figure that out is to take the days late information, because if it's late, then if you have days late, it means that it's late, because if it's not late, the number of days won't be calculated in Google Sheets. Just as a reminder, this is our sheet. So as you can see, the number of days late is only calculated if well, the late column over there is true. So let's go back to our app. So we're going to say, so if days late is not empty, then you can show this. Now so now we cannot see it anymore because, well, it's not late. So this invoice has been paid on this last int. So this is going to be, we want to show it only if paid is true. So we just have to go there and see paid is true. So because here paid is not true, it hasn't been paid, well, we cannot see it. And now we have the final int, and it's the right one, but we still need to set a visibility setting for this. So here, what we are going to set as a visibility condition is that if, let me figure it out. So here, it's if the invoice is not late, so we're going to see late is false. So, okay. And also, I think it would be nicer if it's the first thing I see, because it's the most important. I mean, it's basically the entire reason I'm building this in the first place, to keep track of my invoices. So let me just put it here. Okay. So this is perfect. So here we see that the invoice has been sent on the February 10th and it's due on February 26th. Let's see how it looks like on this. I mean, this is the same one. So let's see for this one. So as you can see, all we have to do is to set it up in one invoice, and then the changes are applied to all the invoices. So here, this is correct. You can see that we have a invoice that has been sent, but it's not at any 9 days late. Then let me try if the invoice is paid. It should change. Okay, so yes, as you can see, if the invoice is paid, then we got this invoice has been paid on December 1st. And if the invoice is not paid, then we have this little hint that tells us that the invoice hasn't been paid and it's 9 days late. So it takes some time to reload. But okay, so we are good for this. So this is all I needed to see for my invoices. Now we can move on to the main overview, where I want to have some kind of summary of all my invoices and what I owe in taxes. So let's go ahead and do this. What I wanted to know is, let me just take my little notebook. So I need to know how many invoices are late. I need to know how much I've earned, and I also need to know how much I have to set aside for taxes. So this information is available here, because if you, I mean not here, but it's available in the data. So as we can see in the data, I can see that I've earned, for example, here $36, and that means that I will need to pay $4.32 in taxes, and my net income is $31.68. So what I want to see is I need to see this, my net income. I need to see the total, so this total, so I need to see this total and this total, and then I mean that's pretty much it. Okay, so for our overview, first what we need to do is go back here. Now we're just going to move this date. We're going to make so we're going to change the date, and we're going to say that it was paid on the 4th. So February, because I want to include it in the current month, and we're going to say that it is paid. And let's go back to clients. So as we can see, we have an items total for the clients. So we have so we should rename that and make it amount earned. Okay, earned, and let's just add this month, because this is monthly. Oops, this is. And then all we have left to do is to compute the tax for this amount earned, because what we could do is do a sum, but then if we do a sum, we are going to get the taxes amount for the both invoices, and we don't want that because this invoice hasn't been paid yet. So let's go back to clients. We are going to again, we're going to use a rollup column. So what we're going to go in the taxes, and we're going to retrieve the taxes. Okay, so 12% tax rate, and then we need to again have math column. So let's go ahead and we're going to amount. So maybe we can call it earnings. Yeah, earnings sounds better than price. Maybe I should change this. So earnings times tax rate. Oops. And let me just put here amount earned this month. And I'm going to add a little $sign. It's perfect. So now, and I'm going to add a new column. And a new column is going to be net earnings. So again, very simple math column. So what we need to do, we have to get the amount. So the amount earned this month minus the tax. And all I need to do is to, yes, I didn't give this column a name, but I should have called it tax. So, okay, now we're good. So now I'm just going to just quickly give this column a name. Tax amount. Okay. So let's go back to the overview. So we are going to use the same mechanism here. The only difference is that we're going to remove, for example, this column, total budget. We don't really need it. We're going to remove the remainings. We don't need it. Now, what we have is spent this month. Let's edit it to have the amount earned this month. And then we need to add other column. So what I need to know is what I want to know is how much I've earned, like my net income, and how much I owe in taxes. So let me just see how I write it. So let's go ahead and create a template column. And we can say this. So now we already have this column, this rollup column from for the amount we earned. And we need to just add the same thing for the taxes and the net income. So we're just going to go ahead and create a rollup column. And the interest, why we do this, why the template does this is that it's going to auto fill. So for example, right now I only earn $36, but if I earn maybe like let's say an additional $50, it will be automatically computed. So let's go ahead, client. So we're going to take the net earnings, and we are going to make a sum. Let's call this net earnings. Okay, and then we are going to add a column about taxes. Tax. Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay, rollup. Again, clients, tax amount, and we got the sum. So we are done with this. Now we have to create a new template, and this template is just going to say, okay, so this month, so let's say we're going to call it earnings message. This month, your net income is no. So let's say this month you have earned a net income of let's call it earnings. So we have. So now what we need here, we need net earnings. So you have earned a net income of X, and you need to set aside, let's go ahead, taxes, and I'm just going to add placement, and it's going to be taxes, and you need to set aside X amount of taxes, so for taxes. Okay, the counter message. So now we can go back to the layout. We are going to change this little title. So the summary we're going to have is the earnings summary. So okay, perfect. As you can see, so this month you have earned a net income of $31.68, and you need to set aside for $0.32 for taxes. Perfect. So now I'm just going to remove this summary because I won't need it. I won't need it either. Wait, okay, save to burn. I don't need the save burn. I don't need the save to spend. Okay, so this is enough for me. What else do I need? I need to know how many invoices are late. So first I need to go and retrieve this information. So I'm going to do this. So my invoices. So if the invoice is late, this is going to be ticked off. So here we have no late invoices. Just for the sake of argument, I know the due date. We're going to change the date and we're going to change this. So let's go back to our invoices. Let's pick which one. No, this one has been paid. Let's pick this one. Let's change it. Let's make it. Let's just change the date to the 1st of February. So now, as you can see, because we changed the date, this invoice is now late. So let's go back. And now the late is true. The late column is true. The box is checked. Now we can go ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the overview. And I'm going to count the number of late invoices. So let's go ahead and say so late invoices. So again, another rollup column. So this time we are going to go to invoices, we are going to go to late, and we are going to count the number of count true. So here what we need to see if the late column is true, well then we need to count it. So here we have one late invoice, so this invoice is 8 plus 8, so done. And then we're going to add a little template. So let's see late invoices. So again, you have so let's just put late here. So you have late invoices. So you have X late invoices. Let's go back to our home and we can add a little message. This time, instead of calling it month name, I'm going to call it late invoices, and the message is going to be late invoices. Well, it's weird because we only have one and there's several invoices, but whatever. We're not in English class, so it's okay. Okay, and also what I'm going to do with this is that if there's no late invoices, well, this message doesn't need to be shown. So this message is only going to be shown if late invoices is greater than 0. Because if it's greater than 0, then that means that we have at least one late invoice. So now we can see it because, well, we have one late invoice. But just to show you, if I said greater than 1, now we cannot see it. Okay, so I have my late invoice. What else do I need? Let me check my. Okay, so what we can add is little. We can add charts. So the best chart here would be, I think, a stack chart, but we don't have it. But we can play around and do something cool. So what I'm going to do is a stack chart. So because what I need is what I want to get is I want to get the taxes I have to pay. So instead of having the client as the label, what I can do is here have the amount earned, and then here have the tax amount. Yeah, it's a little weird. Okay, so here what I can have is this little graph. So now I only have one client, and so this graph that says, well, how much I've earned. Let's just change the amount earned this month, and we're going to call it late net income net earnings. So this is great. And now for the invoices, maybe what I can have is a list that shows the late invoices. So let's just remove this. And let's just what can we add over there? We're going to add an inline list, and this is going to be a list of invoices, and we are going to have the, let's just move this, we are going to have the invoice name and the due date as details, and we are going to just add the feature. As going to say, we are going to filter them, and so I only want to see the invoice that are late. So late is not MC. So yes, so here I just want to see the invoice that are late. I'm going to add a filter, and the filter is going to be late is true. So let's go ahead, is true. So now as you can see that I only have one late invoice. Okay, and maybe what would be cool is instead of having this layout, maybe we could add a calendar so that we have the due date. So maybe we can also have the amount, how much is owed. So let's go to the amount. It's the price, and I don't know why we have this type, but it's okay. So okay, so now I have the due date and the name of the invoice and how much do they owe. Okay. So this is good. This is good enough. I have my invoices. I have my clients. I'm going to call clients. Title. Oh, what can I change it? Yeah, so I can change here. We're going to call it clients. I have my clients. I have my taxes overview. So I can add tax. So we're good. I have the amount I've earned and the amount of tax I need to pay. So maybe one thing I could do, I can remove the search bar because it doesn't serve. Oops. Okay. Okay, so now I have my clients. Maybe I can jazz up the design a little bit. So I'm going to add the amount earned this month. And I'm going to maybe change it and make it a tile. No, doesn't look good. Check this. No. Something said. And what? So we have a client that is cool. One little fix here is that here we have the amount earned per month, but if you can see over there, we have the all-time amount earned. Okay, so we're almost done now, but the final thing we can have is a little yearly summary, because here we have a summary for the month, but what if I want to have more information about, well, my clients for the whole year? So here we are going to create another tab. Oops, this is here. And we are going to call it yearly overview. This is going to be the client tab. So let's go ahead. Let's put details. So first we're going to add a little chart. and it's going to be, well, all time. But so we need all time, but only if it has been paid. So let's go ahead and filter. So only if paid is true. Because you can have an invoice that sits there for a month, but if it's not paid, then it doesn't count. So okay, so now we only have the paid invoices, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to make the label the client. And the quantity is going to be, well, earnings. No, quantity is going to be net earnings. So this looks a little sad because, well, there's only one client. So let's go ahead and add an invoice just to, and that makes me see that I forgot the button to add the invoice, but it's okay. So let's just create it right now. So first we are going to allow the user to create an invoice. So let's go ahead. Invoice name, let's call it GameStop January. Let's make it 2000. GameStop. Invoice to date is going to be 1st of February. So okay, the notes, I'm going to add it. Then I can go ahead and it has been paid. Okay, so I forgot something. I forgot to say, I forgot to be able to see the date paid. So let's add it right now. So that date paid should be, instead of being an action text, it should be a date picker because, well, we need to be able to actually pick the date. So let's go ahead and we are going to see add a date picker and we're going to call it date paid. Okay, so we can add a date paid. So let's say it was paid on the 9th and it's paid. And now that I think about it, I can remove this because, I mean, I don't really need the due date since it has been paid. It's not the relevant information, so I can remove this. Okay. Yeah, so if we go back to the chart, we can see that there's nothing because I forgot to, well, change the value source. So what we need here is the clients. And what we want to see is the net earnings. So yeah, so it looks a little bit weird because there's so much over there. So let's go ahead and change this. Let's make it more. Let's maybe make it okay 3,000. Yes. Okay. Yeah, just so it looks better on the chart. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so we're pretty much done. What I'm going to add here is maybe amount this year. And I'm going to add a list. I mean, all the invoices are here, so I don't need to add the list of invoices. Okay, so now we have a little chart. Just one thing that is bothering me is the fact that it's not the same color scheme. So let's just change this. What we are going to choose, we're going to choose, well, I love RuPaul, so let's go with RuPaul. Perfect. And over here too, let's go for a good friend RuPaul. Okay. And well, we're pretty much done. We have the yearly overview. We have taxes. We need to pay. We have different clients and the amount we've earned with each client. We also, maybe one thing I'm going to change is I'm going to include the net earnings. Okay, because it's always more accurate than to have the earnings before tax. Okay, I have my invoices. Perfect. And well, we're good. One last thing, as well as the last thing, is that I don't know why I deleted the button to add an invoice because it's actually quite useful. So let me go ahead and add a button. This is going to be form button because it's going to allow the user to add an invoice. So let me add this, add invoice. Oh, we can add icons now. I mean, that's why I like the most about Bubble is that they always add new new features to the app. Well, okay. Oh, this is nice. Okay, it's like my first time seeing it, so we are discovering the feature together. But I mean, for my purposes, I think it's better to have the button like this. But this is quite nice. I like it. Let me just remove the icon. I just wanted to try. Okay, add invoice, and we are going to show form. It's going to be new invoice. So what we need to do, okay, we have the text entry, we have the price, client, client is going to be a choice, notes, okay, this we don't need, date sent, nope, date sent, we don't need it, month paid, okay, so we need to remove all of this. Okay, so what we need to have, we need to have the invoice name, the price, the notes. So this is required because we cannot do anything without it. This is required, we could change the amount instead. And then we need to know, so as the invoice being paid already, so we're going to add a switch, and we are going to call it paid. As the invoice been paid already, and the answer is either yes or no. So I'm going to put it here because it's more important. So now we're going to add a little date picker. So it's going to be date. It's going to be date A. So that's it. If yes, when. Oops. So okay, so we're going to put it here. What else do we need to know? We need to know the date sent, so the day this has been completed. So let's go ahead and just add a special value, and this is going to be date sent because this is the current date time. And we're going to, oops, the last thing we need to add is the due date. So add the date, and we're going to when is the invoice due. So this is required because I need to be able to see if it's late or no. So let's say, and we're going to write to due date. And let's go ahead and put it over there. Okay, so this is going to be here because it's required features. So okay, so due date is required, perfect. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh, and now the last thing we need is the client, obviously. So for this, we're going to pick a choice, and we are going to client. So this is going to be the client, and default value is going to be no, it's going to be nothing, and this is going to be required. And maybe I'm going to pick a reminder to tell people that before they add an invoice, they have to add a client. So let's go ahead and put it here. And let me add a little information that says, oops, this is called invoice name for some reason, client. And I'm going to add a little text, and it's going to say, if it's a new client, please add it in the client tab first. Make sure. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this over there. Okay, so let me make sure that we can also add clients. Okay, Perfect. So before we finish, I just wanted to show you the design tab. So if you go, I just want to design tab. So if you go over there, just go to appearance, and you can change the typography. Okay. Oh, I like this one. Let's keep this one. You can also change the theme. You have the light theme. You have the okay. I think this theme is quite. I like this one. And as the accent color, I am going to pick maybe more of a. No, this is a little bit harsh. Yeah, this cool purple over there. I like it. Um, Now it doesn't show. Wow, this is really neat. I like it. And maybe since the new color is purple, let's also change. Yeah, so I like this. So here's the final result. As you can see, we have a little overview. We have a detail of our invoices. We can keep track of if it's late or no. We can also keep track of our clients. And we can see how much they've paid us over the years, over the year. And then we can also have keep an eye on our taxes and how much we've earned. So I hope that this tutorial was helpful to you. If you like this video, please like, subscribe. I will make sure to put out more glide tutorial in the future. And that's it for me. So bye and thanks for watching.